Our sponsors: The Finkley Experience, HBCU First, The Jamal Bakes Morning Show, J&J Leadership Academy. Thank you for your contributions towards The Michael Finkley Show. Our sponsors: The Finkley Experience, HBCU First, The Jamal Bakes Morning Show, J&J Leadership Academy. Thank you for your contributions towards The Michael Finkley Show.
Yo, what's up, everybody? This is your boy Kenny Lewis of Kenny Lewis and One Voice, and you're watching my boy Michael Finkley on the Michael Finkley Show.
Hello everybody, it's Finkley from the Finkley Experience. We're an educational consulting firm that specializes in first-generation education. So we assist students with their college and career endeavors. We train school administrators on the state of first-generation students. And also, we partner with colleges and universities to assist with their first-generation population for easy transition from high school to college. So if you're looking for a presenter or a speaker that presents on these topics and so much more, visit our website at thefinkleyexperience.com and learn about all that we do. We're looking forward to working with you. On the next Michael Finkley, actor, singer, and creative being himself. Of course, Matt Drago's with us. He tells us about his latest project, Somewhere in Montana. This is a film you don't want to miss. And he reveals his next biggest dream. Don't miss it, Fink Fam. Monday's Finkley.
There's a new familiar face this time. Say hello to the new daytime. See it everywhere you go. New and the greatest show. It's no other than the Michael Finkley Show. There is no other. He's like no other. I'm so glad that someone resonates with me. It's time to make
Everybody, welcome back to the Michael Finkley Show. Now, y'all, my next guest, I gotta tell you, he is a reckon to be reckoned with. I promise you. Creative being himself, singer, actor, so many other things, but he's gonna talk about that and so much more. Matt Drago.
Michael, it is such a blessing to be on your show today. I can already tell this is going to be so much fun. Let's do this.
I am excited. You know, how we got connected was through the app of getting guests on for a podcast, and I'm like, I've never experienced this before. This is the first time I've ever done it. But just reading up on you and all the things that you've done thus far in your life, in the short time you've been here, right? I'm like, yeah, let's have Matt on. Let's have a conversation. So I gotta ask, Matt. So again, done so much. But it all started in the state of Virginia for you. You know, you were raised there, and that grew from there to New York, from there to LA. So how was that transition? And what did you learn about those three phases of yourself in life?
Yeah, they always kind of hit me in different times because, you know, growing up in Virginia, but having two parents that originally were from New York City that then moved back down to Virginia, I felt like I always understood both worlds and appreciated both worlds, you know, because the Virginia lifestyle is like a little bit more relaxed. You know, we're in the South, and, you know, rural Virginia is like a lot of mountains. We're close to Shenandoah National Park, a lot of hikes. I grew up in a dojo. My father's a sensei, you know, so grew up, you know, practicing martial arts, Okinawan Shorin-ryu, which is like a old school karate practice. And I feel like that definitely transcended into a lot of my acting work as well, you know, just kind of that self-practice, because it's an artist, a martial artist, right? And so, so yeah, growing up, I jokingly say like a Ninja Turtle, because I have three other brothers, and we were like the four Ninja Turtles. I have my brother Michael that was kind of always kind of doing his own thing, and like very Raphael, and then my brother Mike, he lived on a boat in Alaska and just kind of a free spirit, Michelangelo. And then Marcus was like kind of the Donatello, the perfect scores on the SATs, the full. And then obviously that left me as Leonardo, with my sensei Master Splinter. So with him and then with my mom, she really just fought to get me into the local theaters. She gave me a platform and a lot of support in, taking voice lessons and, driving me places and really, giving me the platform to express myself and see if I wanted to, follow this creative journey that felt like was inside of me since I came onto this planet. Like I just felt like the acting bug definitely was part of who I was. I just was that kid from humble beginnings that didn't need a lot of toys or a lot of big things to entertain me. I just needed my own mind and my own creativity and my friends. And so just being in the theaters and being with people telling great stories like just kind of gave me that next step of okay, well, what do I do next, Matt? Well, I move in a way back home to New York City, to the big city. And I was so lucky, Michael. I got to move really back home because I actually moved in with my grandmother, Grandma Matilda, and I got to spend some really pivotal years in my life in a big city, coming home every night, and having those fresh cooked meals, the chicken piccata, the manicotti. I mean, like listen, I was spoiled, okay? But I knew I was being spoiled. So it was like, it made it okay, right? And then again, I think it really was a great time for us too, because at the time my aunt had moved out, and so grandma was going to live alone in New York. And I was like, I'm not having that. So like, let's be roomies. And so, it was just really amazing. Like it just gave me this, platform to really be safe and to really branch out and spread my wings at the same time. And I found myself doing it in so many different ways. I mean, I would, go to off Broadway shows. I would go to museums. I would, go to every audition I had time for. It for your listeners, you can go to Actors Equity, which is in Midtown, and the Actors Equity is the Broadway Union, and you can literally be there all day and audition for, shows that are casting that are on Broadway or regional shows. And I just found myself like just really wanting to be around my people whenever and however I could. And and that really did. I got some great training in New York City. I got a degree at Marymount Manhattan College. Some really wonderful teachers there. Kevin Connell is one that comes to mind. I actually was directed by him in Richard II. I also studied with him, and he just really did. He loves his actors. He's an actor himself. He nurtures them, and he just is somebody that you feel very safe and protected. And those are always the acting teachers that I found myself aligning with, not the acting teachers you hear about that like break you down to build you back up. No, I didn't jive with that because again, I grew up in a dojo. Like I don't need to be broken down. Like, come on, give me a break. Like I need people that are going to love it out of me. And so I found ways to connect with those types of people. I connected with Terry Schreiber, who is a great acting teacher. He got Edward Norton his start and a lot of actors their start. And he has a studio in Chelsea. And I studied with him for over 2 years. And it really just changed my life because in so many ways, it changed my life, I should say. Um, I studied with him for 2 years, and he won after one class because I was up for a lot of Broadway roles, kind of like runner up, very, very close, and kind of he could see that I was getting a little down on myself. And one day he brought me in and he was like, Matt, I know that you're kind of struggling. I see what you're doing in work, in class. I think your work is great. Why don't you think about maybe moving out to LA? Well, unbeknownst to him, even at this point, I had met a girl literally one room down, and we were paired together in a scene from Say Anything. It was a breakup scene. It's the one that she gives him the pen, and she came over to my apartment to rehearse, Grandma's apartment. we're shuffling through the papers and, I'm pulling out the scene and then I saw the call sheet and I noticed that she had a 5-4 area code. And I said, "Hey, by the way, where are you from in Virginia? Because I'm originally from Virginia." And she looked at me, Michael, on 79th and Broadway, and she said, "I'm from Front Royal." And I said, "Excuse me?" And she said, "Front Royal, Virginia. Have you heard of it?" And I looked at her and I said, "I'm from Front Royal." And at that moment, she's like, because we're in New York, there's no way that this could be true. She's like, "No, you're not." I'm like, "No, no, seriously. My dad's the karate guy from the Main Street Cinema, and I know this person, I know this person. I've done shows here. I know this person, I know this person. I almost went to school here, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "Okay, well, what does your family do?" She was like, "Well, my family owns the Apple House, which is a small little country store that only somebody in that area would know right off of the interstate." And I pointed to my dresser and I said, "Look at my dresser. There were three things with the price tag still on them from the Apple House right on my dresser on 79th and Broadway." So in typical Matt Drago fashion, I should say, jokingly, I looked at her and I said, "Well, we've already gotten the breakup out of the way. Are you ready to go out on a date?" And that's how we met. And it's such a big thing in life where you're open to where the path is going to take you and you don't force it, you let it happen. And at this point, I had a girl that I loved and and my girlfriend then, now my wife, like we basically took this kind of nudge by Terry to explore what LA would look like. And it was not easy, I was very close with my grandmother. It was something that was probably the hardest thing that I've ever had to do in my life. But I think that she even saw that I needed to explore. I needed to see what else was out there for me, and she supported that, and I'm so grateful for that. And so, Laura and I took a trip across the country, landed in LA, and the journey continues here.
Oh my word. And how long ago was that?
So we've been in LA for over a decade now.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow. And it
yeah.
continues together. And I must ask, because you mentioned so much support and love throughout your journey, is that why you didn't give up?
I think it's a big part of it, and you find support in different ways. But, I think for the dreamers out there, the ones that are listening right now, uh, don't give up on your dreams. Like, life is short. It is so important because I got to be honest, if you're a dreamer and you have something that you believe in within yourself, if you give up on that dream, you're giving up on a part of yourself. So, like, I really do. If there's one message I can give on your show today, to the people that are listening, like, don't give up. It's too important. Like it means so much. And honestly, people that fight for their dreams, there's so much value in that. I think of this all the time. I mean, I'll tell you, when I moved to LA, I didn't have a job, Michael. And I was like, I don't know if you've ever heard of the company TaskRabbit. Okay. TaskRabbit is basically just like, odds and end chores and stuff like that. Well, I didn't have a job. I was the top TaskRabbit in LA. And I think back to all those times all the time. Like I was cleaning people's houses. I was, mowing their backyards. I was painting their bookshelves. I was organizing their closets. But it's those character building things that taught me like I'm never going to give up. And then I, got a couple good restaurant gigs, got back into bartending because I did that in New York City. Now I'm a realtor with one of the biggest teams in LA. So you find ways, yeah, you find ways to just keep fighting for it, but appreciate that you're fighting for it. Like value that because dreamers are fighters. I say this all the time. Like, don't sleep on dreamers. Dreamers are fighters. Like, we will fight for our dreams and honor that for yourself. Like, take that in and be like, yeah, I'm fighting for something. So, for me, it was always about, leaving a couple good stories behind. Like that's why I got into acting. I saw the impact of it as a young kid, when I'd come off stage and, someone would come up to me and say like how impactful a performance was, and how it, manifested within their own life. And sometimes they'd be like really big things. Like I had this woman in dinner theater come to me and she said, "Thank you for your performance." And I was 14 or 15 years old. Like it really told me that I needed to make an effort to be closer to my son, and these stories that we tell are big, they're impactful. What you're doing on your show is impactful. Like stories matter, human stories matter, and we have to listen to each other, we have to acknowledge each other, we have to see each other. but we also have to fight for our dreams at the same time because life is too damn short.
So say that seven more times. Listen, that
Life
part
is too damn short. Life is too.
because it is. Because many people say to me,
Yep.
many people have heard, you go to the graveyard, and that is the richest place on earth because that's where a lot of dreams that were not fulfilled or they're still there. And so I always say to myself that once that time comes, I want it to be empty because I want to leave everything here on earth. So you have to keep dreaming. You have to keep going. And that's what season 8 for us, yeah, the Michael Finkley Show is all about, season of dreams, and what it looks like and sounds like for individuals. So going back, again, mentioning the aspect of dreams, um, as a small boy in Virginia, how did you plant the seed for the dream that you see today?
Ooh, that is a good question. I think honestly, for me, it was just the love of the game. Really, honestly, I think the seed was already inside of me, so I don't feel like I needed to plant it. I felt like I needed to nurture it. I felt like I needed to find people that, also had that same seed, and really wanted a lot of the same things that I did. Because again, I think a lot of things that I unfortunately for a lot of actors and people that are forward facing, you see the awards, you see the red carpet. Most people don't get into acting for that. Listen, if you're telling me I get to dress up and go out with my hot wife to an event, I'm not going to say no to that. But it's not why I got into it. Why I got into it is because I think like there's such an impact that you can have with expressing emotion, whether it be on stage, whether it be on this podcast today, whether it be in a film or a TV show. I think it really just opens up people to being emotional. I think when you're in touch with your good emotions, we're all better for it collectively. And so I just realized from a young age that this was something that I felt very passionate about. It's something that I took a lot of weight, a lot of responsibility in doing well. And that's why, when I got to New York, it was like I was in training mode. Like, I mean, Michael, I think I had like four different coaches at one point between Terry, between getting my degree. I had an audition coach, I had a vocal coach, and it was just because I always wanted to be learning. And I'm still in that mindset. Like, I always want to be learning. When I was on set for Somewhere in Montana, I was learning from Graham and Michelle and like all of these incredibly seasoned actors because you always, as a dreamer, have to keep learning. You always have to keep growing. You always have to find ways to better yourself. And I think that that's the same mentality that I take into everything today. And I don't know. I don't think it's a seed that I necessarily, found. I think it was like born inside of me, but it's something that you have to constantly nurture. And from that, you find your path.
I love it. Oh my goodness. Ugh. Oh, and I definitely believe that your dreams and your purpose are a part of that path as well. It all goes together. It all jumbles together. And you mentioned your latest project, Somewhere in Montana. I love it. And when I saw, Somewhere in Montana, and what I got from it in the sense of just looking at what I could see was three things, 3 points: seeing, understanding, and learning. Seeing, understanding, and learning. That's what I got from it. But you play the leading role in this, so I'm gonna let the expert talk about it. Tell us about it.
Yeah, it's a beautiful crafted story. It's a big story that Brandon Smith, who is the writer and the director of it, wanted to tell. It's a love story to Montana, but it's even bigger than that, right? Because it's essentially two different worlds colliding. And I think it's a story of the times, and I think it's a story that we all need right now. I play a West Coast director. My passion and my dreams are in the legacy of, making great stories and leaving a couple good films behind. And, John, played by my friend Graham McTavish, his legacy is, his ranch, and his legacy has been in his generation, in his family for generations and generations. And we are put in a situation where we uniquely need each other. And that's what Brandon did, is he put us in the situation where we needed each other. Filmmakers, and this is a question that I got asked recently, like, we're very hypersensitive about like how to make the vision come to life. And sometimes that is the perfect location. And Kat, played by my big sister Michelle Hurd, I just love her so much. She finds this perfect location set in the hills of Montana, and it happens to be John Alexander's ranch. And so we show up, and again, right off the bat, you can tell that we are two uniquely different energies. We're from two different worlds. We're not people that would normally ever set foot in the same space at the same time. And here we are together. And I think what Brandon does so well in this story is he writes both of the lead characters as the protagonists and antagonists of the same story. And I think that is so true of life, is that we're good people, but we antagonize each other. And sometimes we don't even know why. And I think that's one of the things that I really love about this film, and why I see the importance in it, is because we're two people that are not bad in any way, shape, or form, but we act badly towards each other. And I think that, it goes a little bit deeper, because you hit on three core values in this film. But even in addition to that, because I'm glad you got that out of it, you're right on, is trying to find that mutual respect for each other. Because I feel like, mutual respect, especially where we are in our country, which we can talk about today, like, is the highest form of love. And I feel like the second that you can let people in, you have this moment where you're like, okay, I don't need to agree on everything, because honestly, you never really will. But if we can really start to lead with our what I call good emotions, and we can start to see each other and honor each other and respect each other's legacies, because we all have things that we care about, in our lives, and those are the legacies that we leave behind. Is you start to let each other in, and then you start to understand something big that Brandon wrote in this, is that there's more that can connect us than could ever divide us. But we have to give ourselves a path forward in order to do that. Because in short, we need each other. And that's really a message that I kept getting and receiving over and over again, not only as the character of Fabian, but as Matt, shooting this film in Montana. And what an extraordinary experience it was. It's something that I say this all the time, but I feel like I've already won with this film, because it really changed my life. And I'm just so grateful that now people get to see it, and get to take that message in.
I love it. I love it. And especially when it's such a timely, relatable message at that, it makes it that, again, that much more relatable to us who are watching. What did you learn about yourself? Let me rephrase that. What did you take away from your character that you now use as Matt?
That's good. Um, yeah, it's the first character in Fabian Verdugo that I ever fell in love with. I feel like I see so much of myself in him, and I think there's a lot of me that I was able to bring to this character, specifically. Um, I feel like he's just so passionate about what he loves, much like me, right? And I feel like he's a fighter, much like me, that's willing to do the odds and ends job, that has struggled. But one thing that I really wanted to make key in the development of his character is that he will go down with his own ship. Like, he really fights for his family. His family are his cast and crew, like the people that he's responsible for on his set. Like, that is something that is very key to him and what he cares about. And again, he wants to tell stories that aren't just entertaining. He wants to tell stories that leave an impact. And I think that that is something that has rubbed off on me in a big way. because now as I, take my next chapter, I have a production company, and ironically, it's with that girl that I met in that acting class that I found out grew up 3 blocks away from each other, and her maiden name is Hunter. And obviously, I'm Drago, so our production company worked out as Drago and Hunter Productions, which is Dragon Hunter Productions. So that is so our next goal really is to do something that I really learned from being on this set and being in Montana shooting for 6 weeks, is to uniquely find little pockets of the country that feel like they don't have a voice, and to give them one. And to and what better way to do that than to tell a good story through film, right? And so the first place that we want to start is obviously from where we're from, in Front Royal, Virginia. So my wife wrote a beautiful Christmas story that's got some real depth to it, some real darkness too. It's a fully flushed out, rich Christmas movie, not the typical Christmas films that you might normally see, because on the map, Front Royal, Virginia actually used to be called Helltown. And it was a place where the North and the South would kind of come together and kind of off the field of battle get into some like good trouble, And maybe there were a couple bar fights, maybe there were some, extracurriculars, right? But, at the end of the day, it was still a spot where they were coming together and not killing each other, which at that time was powerful, right? And I've always felt with Front Royal growing up there that there's just this really, really weirdly unique energy field around Front Royal, like a weird vortex. Like if you're into vortexes with Sedona, like there is a vortex around Front Royal. And I'll speak to one example of that, which was just recently last year. I went for my fourth degree black belt on May the 4th, Star Wars Day. My dad's birthday, my sensei, May the 3rd, the day before. So it worked out perfectly. Got to spend the birthday with my dad, and then got to go for my black belt promotion on May the 4th for my fourth degree black belt. And that night, I was so elated by the night because I got to reconnect with so many people that I grew up with, the family, my karate family at the Front Royal Karate Club, that I couldn't sleep. So my friend Ian McLean and I, who actually went for promotion the same night, we basically stayed out all night. We went to, the only bar that stays up late, the Naughty Pine, and Rachel Bon Jovi, and I just kind of were out there, and we were talking, and at one point, I was talking about my dad, and just what he's done for this little town in Front Royal, and what a legacy he has here. And I told them the story of a guy from town named Richie Lockhart that actually named his firstborn son his first name Drago. And both Ian and Rachel didn't believe me, and that was totally fine. But ironically, the bartender looked at me at one point and he was like, "Hey, I heard you say Richie Lockhart." And I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "He's here right now." And I was like, "No way." He was there at the exact same time. He's like, "Richie, come here." Richie comes from behind the bar, and it's just this moment where, like, all of a sudden, because you have to remember, he hasn't seen me since I've been a kid, so like, might not recognize me. And he just like all of a sudden, he's like, "You know this guy?" And Richie looks at me and he's like, "Matt Drago?" And it was just this moment where like it was like incredible, and we gave each other a big hug and we reconnected, and it's like that type of weird energy. And then Ian and Rachel got to see like, yeah, this is the guy that named his son Drago. So we're talking with them all night, you know what I mean? And it's like it's so special, Michael, like when you get into film, and for all of your dreamers out there to be creative for the gift of that, because it really gives you other gifts in your life, because you're open to so many different things. You're open to moments like that even happening, right? And I think you attract things like that too, in a weird way. You know what I mean? So that night, in a weird way, like wasn't a surprise to me. I was just coming off of being elated, going for my fourth degree black belt, giving my dad a big hug at the end. And of course, I was going to meet, Richie, who named his son Drago. Um, but yeah, I think that the next chapter for my wife and I is to, again, do very much in the vein of what Fabian did and leave a couple good stories behind because, it's so impactful to, let these little corners of our country have a voice. Because I think that's where a lot of the dissonance comes in our country is when people feel like they aren't heard and they aren't seen and they don't have a voice. And so we want to help to give them that. And I think there's no better way to do that than through a film. And that's why I love it, and that's why I will continue to love what I do until my dying day.
Perfectly said, my friend. And I'm so glad because we need your talent forever, endeavor, endeavor. So when we come back, Fink Fam, Matt gets to play one of our newest segments called Questions That Need Answers. And of course, he's going to tell us his next biggest dream. Don't go away. Back on.
Walter Fauntleroy. I play Sam on Tyler Perry's The Oval. And you're watching the Michael Finkley Show.
Hi guys, welcome to Awaken. We wanted to serve the city of Mullins. We are church owned, and we felt like a coffee shop was such a huge need in the city of Mullins. There's nowhere for people to just come, get a cup of coffee, sit with friends, maybe do some work on the laptop. And so we feel like it was a service that we could give back to the city. Well, our hope is that people will feel calm, that they'll feel welcome, that it'll be a place where they can come and just clear their mind.
We come here twice a day. That's how good their smoothies, their coffee, their lattes, frappes, delicious. I would love the atmosphere here. If I had time to come and just sit and relax, I would. It's awesome.
One thing that I really love about it being here is just the cozy environment. It's so inviting. I can come in here and I can get my schoolwork done, a good coffee and a good meal. But I'm just really thankful that they're here and that I have a good place to go.
We're open Tuesday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. and Saturday from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Awaken Coffee Bar, downtown Mullins.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Michael Finkley Show. Now, we're back with Matt. Matt's still with us, and he gets to play one of our newest segments called Questions That Need Answers. Okay, so within this segment, Matt, I'm going to give you or questions, right? And we get to learn more about you in this sense. Nothing too tough. So the first thing that just kind of pops to your mind that relates to you. You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. Okay. iPhone or Android?
iPhone.
I knew I liked you. Yeah. No,
But and with the like really cool little kickstand thing in the back too,
Oh my goodness.
I'm obsessed with this thing, like because you can just like it's But yeah, make sure that you have a case or you're going to destroy it.
Okay, listen, and I learned that the hard way.
The glass on the back is not cheap to fix, my friend.
It's not, but it always says covered it from now on that I know better.
Apple Care.
Apple Care. I love it. Winter or fall?
Oof. I mean, I haven't lived in winter in so long because we don't really have winter in California. And I really, really loved growing up in Virginia when the leaves would turn. That's like a big time of year for us. And actually, fall in New York is one of the most beautiful times. So I'm going to have to go with fall.
I love it. Yes, I lived in New Hampshire for 5 years after I graduated from college in South Carolina. And I fell in love with fall because of the leaves turning and the way. I'm like, oh my gosh, where has this been all my life? Because in South Carolina, we don't have fall. Going in or going out. So there we go. Or staying in.
I think just because we've been in a lot in the last few years, I think going out for sure. But I will say that I don't mind staying in either. I know that that's not an answer. This is what happens when you give questions to actors. We're always like, well, but should I be in or should I? Like it's like there's just like too much thought for. Here's what I'll say. I love going out for like, big events and meeting friends and like if there's a good reason to go out, I go out like 100% of the time. But I do really love being at home with my wife and my dog and just, watching a good movie too. So I guess my final answer is both.
I love it. I love it. I just had a conversation literally yesterday, and I said I am literally an introvert and an extrovert.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's okay.
and
It's
it's
good.
okay.
In fact, I think that's the best way to be, right?
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
It's okay.
I
Yeah.
love it. So,
Yeah.
next question: tea or coffee?
Coffee. I'm a Sicilian guy, so it's like with grandma in New York City, I don't know how she did it. She'd go to work at like 5 a.m. She'd drink coffee black at 4 a.m. to wake her up. I remember I came home from a bartending shift and I think I had an audition at like 9 a.m. or something like really early, and I was like, Grandma, I'm just gonna stay up. Pour me a cup of black coffee, right? And I like literally just took my first sip, and she made it like rich. Like she like it was basically like strong Italian coffee,
You're
right?
never
Like the
going to
way that they
sleep.
make it. Well, exactly. Like yeah, and the city that never sleeps. It's probably because of all the coffee intake, right? And she like makes me the cup, and I'm like sipping, and I'm like, oh my God, how do you drink that? She's like, I've been drinking it my whole life. It's how I get up at 5 a.m. And I'm like, man, so I love coffee, but I will say that I like to make a little bit more of a dessert out of it. I like my creamers. I like my, yeah, okay. You know what
I
I'm
get it.
saying.
I get it.
Okay.
And of course, being from the South, sweet tea, of course, you have to always have to dress it up.
Sweet
So,
tea is maybe the one exception. Sweet tea, oh man, on a hot summer day, especially when it's nice and muggy. You said you're in South Carolina, so
mhm.
Virginia, the humidity when you can cut it like a knife. Oh man, sweet tea. That's a close second to coffee for me. Is sweet tea.
I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
I love how you're choosing both.
I am.
You're the
I
first,
am.
you're the first guest I ever chose. Like I'm doing both. Sorry, I'm doing both.
That's what happens when you have an actor on.
I love it. Last question: a comedy or a horror movie?
Comedy or horror movie? I mean, there's a lot of actually movies are both now. A lot of
They
horror
are.
movies are kind of comedic. Here's what I'll say. This is not a both answer. It's not a non-answer, but I really, really honestly like I get gravitated towards like the story, So, whether it's a story that I feel like has more of an emotional connection or a horror film that maybe has like a really cool emotional connection. I really look at like what the story is. So regardless of the genre is kind of how I gravitate towards what movies that I like to watch.
I love
Damn
it.
it, that was another non-answer though, wasn't it?
I love it. I love it. I love it. This is a twist to the game. Listen, the winner is Matt. Listen, the winner is Fink Fam. Can you guess Matt's next biggest dream? No worries. He's going to tell you next. Back in a moment.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Ursula Robinson, Miss Linda from Tyler Perry's Divorce in the Black, and you're watching the only show to watch, The Michael Finkley Show.
Looking for some of the best soul food right here in Mullen, South Carolina? I promise you. Come on down to Garden Alley.
Our grape salad's fabulous. Her water gate, her potato salad, her chicken is fresh. Macaroni and cheese is salted to perfection. I haven't found anything that's not great. Best ever.
Banana pudding, cakes, pies, yeah, selection is huge. Garden Alley is an awesome place to eat. I really love it.
Come by and see the amazing staff at Garden Alley, downtown Mullins. Okay, Matt, here we are. Next biggest dream. What is it?
Next biggest dream, honestly, Michael, is just to wake up every morning and be a full-time actor, be a full-time collaborator. I think one thing that I really learned in being in somewhere in Montana is that, you know, the love of acting will always be my first love. But I really love collaborating. I love building the team. A film is such a team sport, and I think I learned that on set. So many masters of craft that do such extraordinary things, you know, whether it's being, you know, lighting that perfect shot or, you know, getting that really, really nice, like, you know, pan or, you know, getting the sound just right when there's like weather elements, you know, there's just so much to film that is about team and I just love that part of it. So I think to answer your question, the next big dream is to get my production company up and running, to still be auditioning with the great, agent manager that I've got working really hard for me right now, and just to be creative every day, whether it be on set, whether it be on my set, to just be telling great stories left and right as quickly as I can. It's a fire that's burning brighter than it ever has been in my life. And I'm just so fired up to collaborate, to bring people together, and to tell some really, really impactful stories while I'm here.
We're ready, sir. We are ready. We are ready. And all that you've done thus far in life, would you say that, hey, I'm proud of myself?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm proud of myself because I feel like it hasn't been given to me. And I'm proud of myself because of the way that I look at what I do from a very humble perspective. I really, really do just love serving the material as an actor. I love serving the director and the writer and collaborating with them. You know, I think to the beginning of Somewhere in Montana, where it was Brandon and I, and we would be developing this character over Zooms, just like we're on right now. And those are just really intimate relationships that I just love in art, where you're really just so close because of what you want, which is the same thing. And so it's just so fun to work with a director that's also a writer, which is why I want my wife to also direct, because I think that aligns so well when you've created the characters on the page, but you can also see the shots and how you visualize it. And I just think that writer and director makes sense for me, for her, and I want her to give it a shot, even if she co-directs the first film that we do, because a lot of it is technical and I understand that, but so many of the technical aspects really can be engaged upon with who your cinematographer is. I mean, she works with a great cinematographer for her last film that she did. And I think that that's somebody that we would love to work with again, because she aligns with her. And so I think when you find people that understand your vision, whether it be, the producer, the editor, different people in the crew, you want to work with them over and over again, because those are your people. That's like the relationships that you've built over time. So the conversations become more succinct because that it's just another story that you guys are all telling together. And I think what's so special about it is, you're giving that story to everybody. It's not your movie, it's everybody's movie. And I really look at it that way. And, it's going to be a full circle moment that I know I'm going to enjoy even when I'm in it, is bringing a story back to Front Royal, Virginia, because it's where I'm from and I'm proud of that. And so I really do look at this chapter in my life of just really being in the sweet spot of just being just so grateful for where I'm at and what I've had to overcome to get here. And I will say, I mean, if it's possible for me, then it's possible for any of your dreamers that are listening right now.
Amen. Amen. Oh, I don't want this to end, Matt. Oh my goodness. But that means that you have to come back. You have to come back.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I would love to. Absolutely.
I love it.
This has been such a pleasure. And I do say this all the time, but like these interviews, like they're part of my journey too, because it's an opportunity to, show people who I am and and if you're an artist out there, show who you are. Like it's part of, you're not just the actor, performing the scene. Like you're a human being. So what do you stand for? It's no different than, being in sports. It's like, yeah, you're incredible, basketball player, football player, what have you. But like, what are you doing in your community? That's why so many people like, start their own charities and stuff. Like, what is the impact that you're making on and off the field, right? And so I look at that too, and that's why I'm so grateful for shows like this and conversations with you, Michael. So yeah, doors always open. I'd love to talk with you again for sure.
Yay! I
Especially if
love
we're
it.
dancing too.
Yay! Okay, so tell the Fink Fam, how can we follow you on social media and where can we watch somewhere in Montana?
Absolutely. Easiest way for me is connect with me at Instagram at Matt Drago, MattDrago. I'm basically only there, even though I have other social media platforms. Give me a follow at Matt Drago. From there, you'll have my link tree. It's got my websites for both my acting, mattdrago.com. It's also got my production company's website, dragonhunterproductions.com, and my IMDb if you want to look at my past and future projects. And then, like everything, I include, my professional, but also my personal life, because for me, as you can probably tell, they're one and the same. So give me a follow there, and then you'll be in the know. As far as somewhere in Montana, right now, it is a little bit of a hiatus. We had a limited release in the Midwest. We're hoping for an expansion in more theaters soon, but eventually it will go to VOD and streaming as well. So I will make sure that I post all of those updates on my social media at Matt Drago.
All right, Fink Fam, be on the lookout for that. Matt, thank you for being with us. I appreciate you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you.
Likewise, my friend. This has been a wonderful conversation. I'm so grateful.
Oh, I love it. Fink Fam, thank you so much for watching. And remember to always, always pursue your dreams. Have a good one.